Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher. The Philosopher and the Fool. That was like the first good one I've done in like, I don't know, 3 sessions. Yeah, it's tricky. Okay, yeah, I had a thought right off the bat here.
Okay.
I think when you come to an understanding of something, or when you like an idea makes sense to you, or you come to a revelation of some sort, whatever thought you have in that moment isn't actually a useful thought. It's more of like a thought that makes sense in the moment, but afterwards it doesn't at all.
What? Sorry. Partly I don't understand. Also, I want to make a joke which might take away from it, where it's like, oh, so you had a boring initial thought. But no, I'm actually interested now because it is interesting. But
So
explain. Explain.
like if you said if you had you become I don't know, you watch the sunset and you experience this moment of enlightenment or insight or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, I understand now, the light is us, we are the light, or something. You say something like that. And that sentence doesn't actually, you're like, this sentence is the summation of my enlightenment, and therefore I can say it to others and they will share in this experience. But really they won't. Because I'm reading my notes here, which I wrote while I was very tired and reading Jordan Peterson's, what's that book called?
Maps of Meaning.
Maps of Meaning. And I have, if we are characters in a game, to our player, who is us, we are an idea. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, I guess so, but what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Rereading it.
It was probably very, very
But in the
important
moment,
to
I'm
you
sure
anymore.
yeah.
You're like, whoa! Go write this down, share it with everyone.
Yeah. Oh, I'd also like to make a correction to 2 episodes ago.
Okay.
I didn't get around to it. When I said that you have the house is like the terrible mother, and then the city is like the terrible father, restricting you, and then I kind of said it wrong, I think, because the restrictive mother would actually be the terrible father under his definition. But she's also the all-consuming mother would be more under that, lets you be free to destroy yourself. But protecting you absolutely is more of the father in that role. So the overly protective mother is the evil or the bad aspect of the father, and the father that's get out of the house, grow up for yourself, is actually bad aspect of, done at the wrong time, of mother.
Like yin and yang.
No freedom, I guess. Yeah, so they're kind of within each other, so you can't really separate them. So I gave a terrible example. I think I still understood the idea at the time, but I just explained it terribly and I said the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like a half a beat. I was right, but I didn't say it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, humble as I can.
Well, I had a thought,
Yeah.
which is, I guess you actually don't, but there's a lot of anime, maybe some movies, where it's welcome to the future, and this, future, humans have learned to, photosynthesize. This future, people have learned how, project, be psychic. Sort of like that, or it's just, future people are slightly different, they've done something more, or it just, introduces, a bit of, what? Dickens?
What?
Nothing. We're not using this mic.
Oh.
We're using my computer's mic.
Oh, are we using it now?
No.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome. Okay, so they let it run for whisper into it. Yeah. Right.
We're at max up there. I turned us down because people playing that.
Ah.
So that should be good.
Okay.
We are hitting the deal range.
Okay. So we're good, or just down
Back down as we're going loud.
Maybe you're loud.
Yeah.
Well, right. But I guess adjusting your mic works that way.
Yeah.
It's you sound like you're shouting from a very far away.
Well, I just tell them it's their problem.
All right. Ready? All right. We're back.
Yeah.
What were you talking about?
Just how there's just tropes this that happens in the future. We've learned this, or people have learned faster than light travel. And so I came up with one, which is welcome to the future, where people have learned to self-destruct. And I was wondering, how, you take that little initial thing, people have learned this.
Yeah.
And now how does that turn to the rest of the sci-fi film or story?
Right. Well, you have a lot of heroic sacrifices, obviously, and a lot of we have to get through that wall. We can't get through the wall. We're all gonna drown. I can do it. No, don't. Yes, I have to. Stand back. No.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just crumple. Maybe you don't even cause an explosion. Maybe you just crumple into a heap or you eject your internal organs.
Yeah.
Just
I was more thinking they turn energy just boom.
Right. Oh yeah, tons of uses for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just some evil company makes people explode so they can boil water to turn a turbine so they get power.
Yeah.
Because nuclear power, right? Apparently, some people are saying one of the best ways to get nuclear power, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but
is to hollow out a mountain
Yeah.
and set off a nuke inside the mountain
Right.
with a bunch of water around it.
Right.
And then, like, basically have a giant pressure chamber and then take that steam. And that's, like, a way to use nuclear power.
Wouldn't that be like really inefficient though? Because you can't capture that much power.
Well, no, that's why you make it a pressure chamber.
But could you
Well,
make a pressure chamber that could contain a nuke?
Well, it's a mountain. It could be a small nuke, and it's a mountain.
You can level a mountain with a nuke. Like their power is unreal.
Yeah, it's a small nuke inside a mountain.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Or even just boil a ton of water and have like a ridiculous, because it's going up a mountain, right? So it's like a ton of turbines to all capture the steam.
But then what do you do with all that energy as well?
Um,
You can't, like, energy storage is really tricky. Like, so what if you just have like these bursts of energy where everything like overloads and explodes, and then like the grid shuts down. It's like
a lot of batteries. Like the outside of the mountain is just covered in batteries.
I don't know. It seems inefficient. I think the current. I don't know. I'm not an expert on nuclear energy yet, by any means.
But you just run it through the grid, like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Keep running it through the grid, so the power like never goes anywhere. Just keep running it through the grid. Like, why can't you do that?
What, like constant nukes?
Not constant. I'm saying like the power. Like you get this big surge
Right.
of power, and then you just keep running back and forth through the grid.
I don't know if like wires are ideal for storage. I think like the speed of light's pretty fast.
Yeah, but
And I think they'd probably lose a lot of energy along the way if you had like really long wires. But I don't know electricity either. I was sick that day at school, so
oh really?
yeah, I missed the electric unit. So
Yeah, no, you lose a ton of power through wires.
Yeah.
Well, not a ton, but you lose enough.
Yeah.
And if you kept running it, then it won't be
you
efficient.
lose a literal ton of energy.
enough energy to move a ton of weight.
You move a literal ton of electricity.
Yeah.
A whole like you. How much space does a ton of electricity take up?
It's probably
A lot of space.
like a ton of it.
Yeah.
But still, like nuclear power, like there's different ways to do it than just boiling water, right? Like NASA does it in their satellites, right? Which is they just like it, they get power, like it's those basically like infinite power,
Yeah.
which is you slowly get the bleed of nuclear energy and take that.
Okay.
So like, why don't we just like every single device? Why doesn't every single device just have like a nuclear battery that slowly bleeds power into it?
Because then we would all get like horrible cancers and stuff.
Well, then why don't we develop like radix or something like from Fallout? Like they just, instead of like trying to contain nuclear power, they just developed like medicine to get rid of radiation poisoning.
Or if you're obsessed with like radiation and like harnessing the power, like the most efficient way I think we have to harness nuclear power is solar panels, right?
Yeah,
So-
that's boring. Like
I don't know. That's pretty advanced.
it's pretty advanced, but I mean,
They don't even move. Like
think about power. Like the best, like what we do for power, like nuclear power plants, is we're getting a really hot piece of rock and boiling water on it.
yeah, and you're saying different ways to boil water when I think we should instead look at like
Well, no, I'm not saying different ways. I'm talking about like the
like
slow break,
like smaller scale. Like,
yeah, like the capturing, or I don't know, doing something different. Like even fusion generators. Like China's worked a lot with fusion, and like it's coming back. Like people are trying to figure out how to get fusion energy working again. But still, you're just going to be boiling water with a fusion. You're just going to make something hot and boil water. That's all you get with fusion.
Getting fusion again, like recovering the ancient lost technology.
No, like just working again, because Germany developed fusion that worked. It just didn't work that great.
Right.
Because there's a huge problem with fusion, which is the main idea is make basically a donut of plasma, right? And the spinning plasma donut keeps itself sustaining. That's basically the idea. Like you're making a sun, and to contain this sun, you have like a torus or like a donut of magnets, basically a magnet chamber. And so it's stopping the plasma from escaping because it's like forcing it into this shape, and you keep spinning and like squishing through, and then you get a ton of heat generation, and you try to take that heat and use it. Well, there's a problem, which is the hotter magnets get, the worse they become. And so magnetic fields will just break down over time because the magnets can't handle it for too long. And so basically fusion reactors, you spin them up, they go for a while, and it takes a ton of power to spin them up. But once they're going, they can keep going. However, they can't keep going because the magnetic containment field isn't good enough.
And what's powering the magnetic containment field?
The boiling of the water. Like, it's enough power, actually, to power the magnetic containment field.
We're still just cavemen with rocks.
The problem is that the magnets get too hot. However, there's a different approach, which is having the plasma coil or whatever, instead of like making it spin in a circle or spin around a donut, the idea is something like making it spin in a spiral tube and it generates its own magnetic field. But there's a problem with that where plasma is unpredictable, and so it will like just its own magnetic field will start breaking down because the plasma spins weird. However, some scientist recently figured out a mathematical equation where its own magnetic field can also like soothe down the bulges in the plasma so this field stays constant. Because this one guy's approach is like, hey, why don't we just try this? And they're like, yeah, but plasma will just like go everywhere and it won't work. But then people are like, well, if we can make it so like the magnetic field also like corrects itself so it keeps spinning. So like, I don't know, a possible thing in the future, it'll still just be boiling water and turning to steam. But it'll be like these giant tubes of spinning plasma, possibly, that are self-sustaining because they're creating their own magnetic fields. Or, well, it's the plasma self-sustaining and create their own magnetic field. And so you can basically like have mini tornado suns everywhere. Oh yeah, you're right about the caveman with rocks. Alright, we can make like this giant spinning ball of heat. What do we want to do with it? Let's boil some water and spin some turbines with that boiling water.
What do you think's like the most advanced thing people have come up with?
The most advanced thing? Well, solar panels are... I have no idea how they work actually, like how you make them or stuff, but that seems pretty advanced. A lot of stuff we have just involves spinning. Like, engines is spinning. You just make better spinning engines. I think, like, AIs are probably pretty advanced. Like, making algorithms that can learn. But that's just a thing hitting its head against a rock repeatedly until it figures out what's right.
Yeah, it's probably...
And it does that a billion million times to figure out what's the perfect thing within its parameters. Like those talking AIs that like talk to people are probably pretty advanced. However, they're only doing what humans can already do. So I don't know if that falls in your category of advancement.
Yeah, no, it'd just be like the most complicated thing we've done. And I think, yeah, it'd be like a computer or something.
Yeah.
Program on a computer.
Maybe like modifying genetics.
You know, the most advanced thing's probably like weather monitoring software.
Yeah.
I bet that's probably the most complicated thing out there.
Yeah, or some mathematical program to figure out what a planet looks like by the wobble of the light.
Yeah.
Like, how do astronomers and astrologers do that? Like, they look at the wobble of the planet through a telescope and they're like, oh, this is obviously in the Goldilocks zone, and its atmosphere consists of this, and the planet's probably mostly made out of this, weighing this much, with a whatever core. And it's like, what do you do that?
And since you threw astrologers in there, they're also figuring out what that influences on your birth.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if astrologer was right.
It's astronomer.
Astronomer was right, so I decided to hedge my bet and use both.
Right.
Or advanced science, I don't know. Computers are probably, like, some computer programs probably advanced, or maybe like genetic modification of some sort.
I don't know. I'd be suspicious of that. I bet they don't do much.
No.
Like, you think, I don't know, medicine's advanced, but it's just like, take this root and we'll like like when I had my wisdom teeth removed, the guy just used a screwdriver and like levered my teeth out. Like that's it. That's our advanced
But he
technology.
did it very cleanly.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of blood.
No, but I'm saying like his tools were very clean.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. You hope so.
Yeah. But our medical advancement is figuring out how to make things clean and making things sharper and mixing plants together and concentrating them and then injecting them, right?
Yeah, that's not very... Like, our medicine's pretty barbaric.
We don't have, like, something that you, like, flash light at someone's arm and it reconstructs them.
I guess, like, if we went back in time, we could use modern medical techniques still.
Yeah.
Whereas, if we go back in time, you can't just build a computer out of scratch. So that's why I call computers more advanced.
Yeah, you can't have, like, a learning AI suddenly pop up.
Yeah. But I think weather monitoring, that's fine.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Fool and Philosopher podcast, the only podcast online which has more hours recorded than hours listened to.
So in the Dilbert future, he has this idea, I don't know if I've talked about it, that there's like infinite universes. And
What's the Dilbert future, first of all?
this book
Okay.
by Douglas Adams,
Alright.
and where he makes predictions about the future
Right.
based on some basic assumptions about humans.
Yeah.
Which is that they're like stupid and greedy and some other stuff like that. But he, this book was written in 1995 or something, and he's pretty accurate. He's got it pretty good. And not entirely, but he's doing pretty solid. And
Like the flying cars he missed, obviously.
he didn't talk about flying cars.
I remember playing Sim 2000, and they had flying cars by the time you reached year 2000.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're really practical.
No, they aren't. They just don't work.
Well, let's say they work just fine.
Yeah.
It's still a lot harder to work in 3 dimensions than 2.
Can you imagine the amount of accidents you'd have?
Yeah, it could be dangerous. So, I think...
Well, that's why you have the tubes that everyone drives down.
I bet... Well, then it's kind of pointless. But I bet flying cars aren't that hard to make. Like, I bet it's...
Imagine the fuel consumption, though.
Yeah, I bet it's more a matter of fuel. A lot of people talk about energy and, like, infinite energy, and I don't think energy is going to be much of a problem in the coming decades.
Yeah, just like make a globe around the sun.
I don't think you need to even do that. I think...
Make just a ring or partial.
Like, the ENIAC computer took, like, the power of, like, half the city or something.
Yeah.
And it was less powerful than, like, an amiibo, which doesn't even have which takes 0 electricity to move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think
it's a little more powerful than Amiibo.
I don't know about that.
Like they could do 1 + 1.
Amiibos have, like... Oh, Amiibos can easily do that. They have, like, thousands of... They have kilobytes of data on them. Whereas...
I'm just imagining, like, someone, like, using, like, putting an SD card into your computer, but it's just an amoeba. And it's like...
Amiibo?
Yeah, Amiibo. Like, using Amiibos to store spaces and hard drives.
It might be in the future. Who knows? The RF chips. Yeah, I think they can only hold very small amounts of stuff. But still, kilobytes is massive.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's like many 1 + 1s.
Well, that's not necessarily the calculation, but the calculations aren't that complicated for it.
Yeah.
It's like...
But so the ENIAC computer took the power of a city, and how old was that?
that was like 56... Oh, not at this point, sorry. No, it'd be like 70 or 80 years ago.
Yes, 80 years ago, and now we've come to a point where we have computers way more powerful that take way less power.
Yeah, so I think like things are going to become way more efficient.
Well, but there's like listening to one scientist, he actually talks about like there's this idea of like it's been disproven several times, but there's ideas of maximums in technology. Like you just reach the maximum sometimes. Like you can't actually get any better. Like with computers, where they're talking about like, oh, computers won't get any better, like computer chips, and
they're always wrong.
And they got to the point where
every single time they're wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy's talking about like batteries. You just can't make them better anymore, and like, and you've got like our engines are.
There's some huge battery breakthroughs coming up.
But I mean, is there really, or is it just false promises?
I guess we'll
see. I
see.
mean, like they've been wrong every time with the like computer chips, and then like, okay, definitely can't make computers any more advanced. And they're like, yo, what about if we just switch over to some quantum computing?
Not even that. Like USBs, right, were thought to be packing data as small as possible, and then might have been Intel. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But they came up with the idea of, oh, what if you just stack the, if you just like make it 3-dimensional, because currently it's stored 2-dimensionally, and all of a sudden, bam, it's like 600 times faster or something.
You get terabyte USBs or something.
Like they're not out yet. These these super fast ones, like they're coming up with, because
the USB-Cs.
Way faster than that.
Really?
Yeah,
Because those things I find insane fast.
Well, USBs are way slower than a normal computer.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you plug in a USB-C into a USB-C port, and the data goes insanely.
I was reading about some like a couple of years ago, like 1,000 times faster. Like,
really?
Yeah.
What?
And they were saying they want to first do like private, like I'm not sure who their first market was going to be, and then they'd sell to the public a bit later. So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Like the public is a little bit behind technology.
At the same time, I think that we're still too far ahead. I think that like almost all electronics are just garbage. Like they're just these poorly understood, mashed together things that haven't been tested nearly as much as they need to be. Like we don't understand computers in the slightest.
Like we've only had them for what you said, like 7 years or so.
We don't understand computers in the slightest. They're all like terrible.
I could stretch to say we've had computers for around 100 years, but still, yeah. Considering how long we've had some other stuff that we still have trouble understanding, like just how long we've had the combustion engine and
and they keep like tweaking that. I don't know if they do anymore. I'm not sure. But...
Oh no, you definitely do. Like there's still better ways to improve the combustion engine, add more lubricants, make it lighter, make it so there's less internal damage to it each time there's a mini explosion, have it so the chamber is better shaped for the explosion so that like the pistons turn better.
Like I think like bicycles are pretty much. I think bicycles are kind of a hype. But there's this book. It was called The End of History, I think, and it thought that like all knowledge was eventually going to be caught up, and we would end advancement, and like history would stop basically because we'd reached the height of civilization. And they were totally wrong. Like absolutely, I don't think there is really a stop.
So, what's your top predicted technology then? Like for the future, like what? Like educated guess as best you can do.
So I told you about the meta Reddit thing and like a couple episodes back, and a couple the episode came out quite a bit later.
Yeah.
But a couple days after I talked about the Reddit thing.
Yeah.
A thing called Dissenter launched, which lets you comment on any page on the internet except one. I found one you can't comment on. You can't comment on its own 404 page. I intentionally crashed it and tried to comment on that page, but I couldn't. Big flaw in the system.
Yeah.
But so Dissenter doesn't quite do what I want because I would like it if you could. But because here's what I want. Dissenter is really cool.
I still haven't gotten that.
Because you can comment on any page anywhere, and then people can comment on your comments, and you can have like chains, and it's amazing.
And it's like a 3D space that's then there's like comments within comments.
But what I would like is for Dissenter to be more like the internet, where because right now we're relying on whoever makes Dissenter, Gab, and whoever makes Gab.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. Because, like I said, I think the internet's going to be decentralized.
Yeah.
So I think there should be like the meta internet where Dissenter has started should be its own internet that you can gain access through to stuff like Dissenter.
Meta internet.
Yeah. So I think So I think the.
So it's basically a piggyback program, though.
Well, that's what I want it to. I want it to be. I don't want it to be a piggyback thing. I want it to be. Like servers just host this and then you can access them like it's the internet, but it's like another one. Because currently if Dissenter shut down, it was all gone. Because they're the only ones doing it right now. But I want it to be like, it's there and then you get an access like Google Chrome or Firefox or, except it's like you have like Dissenter and like, I don't know, some name that doesn't sound like that. It's a little
edgy.
Yeah, I think the origin of its design is that like to talk on news sites and like YouTube videos where people have disabled content that you disagree with, so you dissent with them.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that it wants to allow people to talk on anything.
Well, I've found several times that like I see a news article. This one actually annoys me a lot. Is like giant massive asteroid heading towards Earth. I'm like, oh, this seems serious. I'll read this article. Maybe they're like trying to be helpful. Like, yeah, it's going to pass by Earth in 5,000 years. Or it's like, asteroid coming towards Earth soon. Go on, pass it by, a nice view of it. And it's just like they're so serious and like such big titles. And I like look for an area to comment on it, like on these pages to say, stop publishing stuff like this, or like, like why the heck are you doing this? Because you're just causing undue panic.
Yeah, and the thing
I kind of want to comment on them or say like, oi, what's this about?
I like I don't want to say, but there's a because then people can find my Dissenter account, and I don't want them to. But there's a website I like, which the guy is like, he writes these great articles, but if you go slightly off topic in his comments, he'll delete your comic and he'll like block all further conversation, shut down the thread, and he closes his comments after like a day or like 12 hours or something. He's just incredibly militant and like really touchy and edgy, like on edge. Sorry, edgy is the wrong term. But if you say like, "Oh, I disagreed with this. I think maybe if you went in this route," he'll be like, "No, my idea." Like,
you're wrong.
He'll be like, "I'm not trying to do that." And this, he doesn't allow for discussion, and it's kind of like you always feel on edge, like in the comments there, because it's like I don't want to say the wrong thing, and but I have this really interesting idea I want to talk about, and I don't know where else to talk about it. Yeah. So I think Dissenter is really nice because then you can talk about it in a different place. If he wants his comments to be that way, fair enough, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great thing. I think you should allow any conversation, because stifling the conversation is just kind of okay. Yeah, any conversation that's debatable. Like if you're like having like a human trafficking conversation in the comments. Then...
Yeah, well, it actually even then because.
But at that point, people see what you're doing.
There's laws within having conversations like that where it's like that type of conversation. Well, the conversation isn't illegal, but actions you are doing are illegal. So we shouldn't have to have the law about the conversation. We have the law about your actions.
Yeah. But I think actually I don't know. Because then you can point police towards your comments. But it's like you don't want that in your comments, kind of thing. Yeah. But at the same time, then you can. If you don't have it in the open, so they're just going to do it somewhere else in hiding, and it's probably better to be in the open.
Yeah, and then you can catch them easier.
Yeah. So I think. But whatever. It's his website. He does what he wants. But I like that Dissenter allows you to comment on that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cool idea, and I think it has a lot of potential. A lot of people are just doing it to like.
Oh, look at me! I'm so edgy.
Well, no, a lot of people are using Dissenter to just
dissent. Yeah,
to dissent very strongly. Like it's like it's like
radical free speech.
Somewhat. I don't know. It's. I think the thing that's important to remember about the internet, and I'm not saying this to insult any people that use Dissenter or anything, because I think most of them are probably quite reasonable, and I think a lot of the views even that I disagree with that I see are probably from a standpoint that is reasonable if I understood it.
Yeah.
But so actually,
neutral.
What I also like about Dissenter is that it's kind of like you actually have to have like a basic amount of intelligence to find or understanding of the internet, and so. You're not going to get...
Weeds out the idiots.
Yeah, weeds out the idiots a little bit. Not much, but a bit.
Yeah, a bit. And a bit... Like, there's 7 billion people, so if you weed out the idiots a bit... Yeah. Like, there's over 1 billion people using the internet.
Yeah, so if you can weed out a couple 100 million idiots, that's not bad. But I think the important thing to remember about the internet is I don't think there's actually that many idiots on it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of children. And you can't tell because you don't have like a little 3D model of whoever's commenting.
So one of the advancements I want in the future, right, is this... like thing attached to the front of your computer is like a laptop, like it's right above your screen, and it's like always on, and you just can't turn it off. If you want to turn on your computer, it turns on. And like to stop people from covering up, because some people like cover up, has a laser equipped to it, and so it'll burn through anything you put on, so you can always see who's ever using the computer when you're interacting with them.
Yeah, that'd be great. But no, I think
no privacy for anyone.
I think. A lot of the time you get these comments where they're really not thought out, or they're very like black and white. Like they're like, wow, you're wrong, or wow, you're so right. Like these like sycophantic or like adversarial behaviors of people that haven't thought a position through at all, or have never heard opposition to it and don't understand anyone that does, or think that anyone that they disagree with on one point is wrong on all points.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are probably like 10-year-olds that like, because when I was, I don't know about you, but when I was like...
I'm 12 and this is deep.
When I was like 11 or 12, there wasn't really an internet to go to. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Like, and I'm not, like, it was there, but it wasn't something that you did. And nowadays people just live on the internet.
Well, when I was 12, like accessing the internet, you used it to play like Adventure Quest.
Yeah.
Or like addicting games, like... That's what it was for. There wasn't many sites, actually.
When I was 12, you didn't even use the internet to do your fun stuff. That was later, I think, mostly.
Yeah. Well, that's because there's such a limited amount that you actually couldn't use it.
Use it for Line Rider, and that's it.
Hey.
But, now it's huge, and I think there's...
When I went to elementary school, when we were in the computer lab and had free time, we would use, like, their crazy paint app or whatever.
And the other thing was, like...
That's what we did for fun, instead of playing online
YouTube
games.
And... Facebook and all these like major websites.
So new.
Well, not necessarily. They've been around for a while. It's just not there. But you had to actually be like 14 to 16 to use them. Like you didn't have to follow them. Well, you had to follow it if you agreed with their thing.
Yeah.
But those restrictions are gone now.
Yeah.
And it's maybe they aren't actually. I don't know. I think YouTube's is definitely gone.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know about Facebook. Facebook might not be.
I think it's still have to be 13 or something. Like they've definitely lowered it. But
so I think that a lot of the time when you see people make these completely ludicrous comments that have no understanding or
basis in reality,
depth or like nuance in the slightest, I think they're probably just like 10-year-olds. Because
I don't know. At 10, I couldn't type that well.
Well, yeah, but you couldn't like read until you were like 10.
Not true.
11.
Ouch, but true.
Yeah, I had to do some quick mental math there. Yeah, but I mean,
I could sort of read.
but not everyone's a dyslexic, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I think, I think so. Advancements in the future, right? But yeah, that's just my. I think.
Well, you had proof of one of them, but like.
Yeah, so I was
far
right.
Future.
Far future.
Like if you're from like the 1900s, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you're 1900s.
Yeah.
What and you got like a glimpse of today.
Yeah.
Or like try and predict. I guess try and predict what it'd be today.
Yeah.
Like you would have such a hard time.
Yeah. I think you can get. I think you can be metaphorically correct.
Yeah.
Like you can say something like communication will be better.
Yeah.
Like there was these people that predicted that.
You'd have giant pneumatic tubes.
Yeah, pneumatic tubes everywhere, and you could communicate across the world with pneumatic tubes.
Yeah.
And it's not wrong, right? But it's not wrong.
We just made something better than that.
Yeah, like little electronic things.
We possibly could even do that. It'd be ridiculously expensive.
So I had this idea of like, I don't know, Legend of Zelda sort of got me thinking like with the Sheikah technology.
Yeah.
Like their information's stored in a liquid, right?
Yeah.
And so can you imagine like electronics like turn into a physical thing? How much you could pack into that? Like turning energy into matter. You could pack an insane amount of information into that. So I think USB like I said, I don't think we're done yet with the future. I think imagine if you could by turning like this die here, if you turned it into pure energy, imagine if it gave you like a cookbook recipe or something. Well, I mean this would be like all the information on Earth. This single die, right?
Yeah.
Like actually maybe not these days, but
it'd be a lot. It'd be like several Wikipedia pages at least.
It'd be a lot more than that, but
it'd be like all of Wikipedia.
Probably more than that.
There's a lot of Wikipedia.
It might be all the information there's. But can you imagine if you could somehow... It'd probably be better with like crystals, I imagine, because they're a bit more predictable in their pattern. But although I don't know, because that's molecular level, and that's not what I'm saying. Because we're already down to the molecular level. Yeah. But this is converting from...
We're going to be storing information in crystals. And you can put in, it'll project your dead father's ghost at you.
But I think that's a very bad prediction, like what I just said, because that's not a metaphorical thing. Like that's just saying information.
So this is how do we copyright new. Metaphors?
So this is something new, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So I think people, I don't know, do we go where we want to, or do we just go in every direction at once?
I think we go like a river, like down the path of least resistance.
I don't know if we do. Like Neanderthals died out because they didn't move. People will do stuff that.
But I'm saying like our technology advancements will go from easiest thing to easiest thing.
I'm not even sure about that. Like, gunpowder, very simple to make. Rubber, very easy to do, and that took ages.
Okay.
Whereas something like very complex, like I don't know, genetic modification, that's been going on for thousands of years.
Yeah, guess. I mean, even like...
Although you can do that kind of, like, just accidentally.
Even metal forging is pretty simple. You just hit rocks
Metal forging is
them.
pretty complex.
You hit rocks and then you melt them.
That's quite a process. Or, like that's actually fairly complex. Like, I think it's...
No, I played Minecraft. I know what happens.
I think it's probably easier to vulcanize rubber, than to make a ceramic pot.
A ceramic pot?
Yeah.
What about a steel pot?
Yeah, I think it's easier to vulcanize rubber. All you have to do to vulcanize rubber is mix two plants together.
Really?
Yeah.
You're saying you can get rubber by mixing plants?
Yeah.
Like proper rubber, like you could make bouncy balls.
Yeah. That's what the Aztecs did.
They actually had bouncy balls.
Yeah, you know that game that we watched where they have the rubber ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to have a rubber ball. They made the rubber ball.
I thought they were like using a wooden ball.
No, they used rubber.
Huh.
They made rubber before the old world.
Huh.
Because the two plants needed for rubber, there's different processes for doing it. But the one plant grows around the other, and if you mix them, then you get rubber.
So you take two plants that grow near each other, mix them together, and you get this magic bouncy substance that can be used to make airtight seals.
Yeah, and insulate, and yeah.
That's so cool. Like it's so cool.
Yeah. Like you just mix like sap with whatever and bam.
And you get bouncy balls.
Yeah.
It's like magic.
I don't know how good they are. I don't know what the process, but like some stuff is very, like bicycles as well, like very complex like thing to figure out. But if you had like And I mean, like a smith, they were working with larger stuff generally, so they would you'd have to. It'd be very expensive to have a bike in like the medieval ages, but you could build one in the medieval ages, no problem. It'd be expensive, very expensive, because you'd have to make such fine. Like machine precision is much easier to work with. But you get like a jeweler. A jeweler could make a bicycle.
Yeah.
Take him ages. But
then you'd have a bicycle.
Yeah.
And then, even then, you don't have to do a super complicated bicycle. You could do much simpler ones.
Like the Romans, I think we talked about this before. The Romans could have gone to the moon, probably.
Really?
Yeah. Did we talk about this before? No, they could have... See, okay, so the Roman Empire lasted like 500 years, right?
Yep.
And the technology didn't change during the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And the Roman technology wasn't quite as good as the Renaissance, but it was around there.
Right.
And the Renaissance, 500 years after the Renaissance, we went to the moon.
Okay.
So the Romans at the start, if they had like decided to advance, they could have gone to the moon, right? Like you just need guidance. So
yeah,
I don't know what the point of this is, but yeah, you just need guidance.
Yeah.
So I think
I reckon teleporters.
So, anyways, I don't think people take the easiest path. The easiest path would have been the Romans going to the moon, but instead they just relied on slaves. Maybe that was the easiest path.
I reckon teleporters.
Teleporters. I don't know. It sounds complicated.
Yeah.
I think like. Although you do have to choose something that isn't... Like, you can't just choose something better, because...
Yeah. Like, we'll get computers that can take care of us.
Yeah.
That's probably going to happen.
Well, it's already happening to some extent. I think, like... Well, teleportation, right? As long as you don't say how, I guess, like, you can have...
Yeah.
Like, here's, like... Okay, synchronicity of Carl Jung's idea.
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked about this. But... Okay, so it's easier if you imagine more dimensions, right? So...
Time travel's been proven.
Imagine all 4 dimensions of the universe are a 2-dimensional plane, and there's a hand reaching through it.
Yes, a hand, which is much better than a horseshoe.
I don't know. I think horseshoe is all right. But you have a hand reaching through it, and you can see the fingers.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, so, and the fingers are physics and the world and metaphors and dreams. So you see your index finger, and you're like, that is me. And you see your ring finger, and you're like, that is my dreams. And you see your middle finger, and you're like, that is a horseshoe. Fence. That is a fence. And you, oh, nice. you see your pinky, and you're like, that is a cloud.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, they're obviously all disconnected because you can only see the tips of the fingers.
Yeah.
And no, sorry, not a cloud. It's like the concept of physics itself. But then you look under the surface and you're like, they're all connected. They're all part of the same being.
Yeah. So all a part of a hand.
So I think, imagine a hand coming out of the water, right? And the fingers are like these individual things. And you think that's the universe.
Yeah.
So Wolfgang Pauli came up, he took Jung's idea of synchronicity and also thought about this a bit. Like, he called them hidden variables. Like, what if we don't see the actual variables that govern reality and we're just writing about the results?
Yeah.
So, teleportation, just imagine one finger slipping below the water and then coming out of the water somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, and you just step outside the universe and
like
you step outside the projection and you reproject yourself somewhere else. Like, the very concept of who we are, I think, will be the revolution. Because teleportation calls into question a huge concept of who are you. Yeah. And because if teleportation works, you're basically a hologram. You basically don't exist. You're an illusion. Because if your mind can be transported, that means that it just takes the right arrangement of molecules to create you. Which means that if you were obliterated to pieces and 1,000,000 years later some alien was just randomly assembling molecules for fun and made you, you would suddenly reappear with your memory like exactly as it was. And that means you could also be duplicated. And then what does that mean, duplication? It's like, and what is
then it becomes like playing one of those video games where you're controlling two characters at once, and it's just difficult.
No, you're not though, because you're 2 different people, but you're the same mind.
Yeah, so you're controlling both at once.
No, you don't get to. You wonder if you control either because you're just you're just a program that can be duplicated.
I more reckon that teleportation more in wormholes, like punching a hole and then folding space or something.
Yeah, like, maybe stepping outside, like I said. But I think, like, stepping outside, that's like, it's like the universe is like a canvas with a projector pointing at it. And, like, but every single thing that makes up the universe is a different projector. And to teleport someone, you just grab all the projectors that make them up and swivel them on the canvas. Like, phew, change it. Because that's like the whole quantum teleportation, or entanglement.
Yeah, I was more thinking Einstein-Rosen gates.
Like, you have this issue of, like,
because the math's there for them.
Information moving faster than the speed of light. And it's kind of annoying. But if you step outside the universe, then Maybe you're looking at maybe information within the universe can't travel faster than the speed of light, or maybe it's all wrong.
Is that what it's called, the Einstein-Rosen gate?
No idea.
The wormholes. Just like a big old hole that goes from one point to another.
But yeah, teleportation raises a lot of issues.
Yeah, I know, it'd be fun. Cause philosophy to come back in a big wave.
Yeah, it's
In a big way. Actually, it would.
Well, there's actually there's something a while back where they were trying to simulate consciousness during teleportation. I don't remember how they decided to do it, but they wanted to see what essentially an interruption in consciousness would cause, like if it would cause it to be two separate beings. But if you also think of yourself as a being throughout time as well, then you can be like this branching thing. You could be a current observation
Of yourself.
We might have talked about this before, but
Yeah.
you exist through all the points in time, and you're just like... So yeah, Douglas Adams' idea of... not Douglas Adams, the other one. Scott Adams.
Yeah.
The Dilbert future.
Yeah.
He was talking about the idea of infinite universes. And since there's infinite, there's every possible thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, imagine a matrix.
So there's one universe where we dump all our trash.
Imagine like a matrix. And... No. Imagine like a matrix.
Yep.
Not infinite universes like parallel universes, but like every decision you make, everyone's on a track, and there's infinite like railroad tracks branching off, and every decision you make pushes you into a different universe, and you're sliding along. And what if you could choose which universe you want to go to? You're like, I want to go to the universe where there's like, anything's possible. Like where I go outside and I find like a bag with like $1 million in it, and so you can like, maybe you can't shuttle yourself along that universe, but maybe you can. That was his sort of thing,
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of it doesn't even necessarily mean that you can have any control. It just if that's an idea, because there's an issue of there's a bit of a paradox with consciousness, where it either doesn't exist or you almost need it to create the world. So it's sort of, and not as in like...
Yes.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The music is by Vindsvept. Check them out. Anyways, back to the show.
Yeah, so there's an experiment that's proposed to test where you basically go into a room with a nuke, and you have a button, and you have a bit of radiation as well, like a little like piece of uranium or something, and it's slowly decaying, and there's like radioactive particles shooting off of it, and you have a meter measuring the particles, and if the particles spin clockwise, then it reads 1, and if they spin counterclockwise, it reads 0. Let's say.
Okay.
Now, if you have a button in your hand, if you press the button and the reader is set to 1, the nuke will go off. So the experiment is you sit in that room and press that button about, let's say 100 times. And if you don't blow up, then you're probably immortal. And so the idea...
Isn't this the cat?
Not exactly. This is more the idea of observation creating the universe in a way, because it means that you can... there's a lot of like attempts to resolve consciousness. So this one would be that you are creating your universe, but you're not creating it as in you're not like some magical being created. It's that it can't exist without you, because you are the reason for its existence. But doesn't sound quite. That sounds a bit. Like if I said like those infinite universes and you choose the track, then you will always go to a track where you exist. So like. Every time
if you were offered to sit in a room with that clicker button, would you?
I don't think so. No.
No. But you have a chance of being immortal.
But that doesn't.
You can prove that you're immortal.
But you won't necessarily. You will prove it to yourself.
Yeah.
But that will happen anyways if it was true. But everyone else still might go to a different universe where you blow up, right? So you're not actually proving anything to anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
So
you might be all alone in your own universe.
Except you don't have to be because
you'd be with all them, because there's multiple branches.
But that's another weird thing. Like, what if so you have like everyone from every different universe? Then aren't you alone because they're all different universes? But what if that's not all there is to it? Like, what if you can imagine, or what if like the fingers in the thing, like the different each finger is a different universe with but they're actually all connected. So you are every single incarnation of yourself, and it can be resolved somehow. Like maybe you can, because there's, I think one of the first things we said was there's some truths which are inexpressible, and unknowable. So it could be that there is a way to resolve all that. Mm-hmm. And you could be, so instead of like being like a little raisin in the loaf of the universe, you could actually be like some sort of weird like spreading like piece of coral in the bread loaf.
Alright.
Like, you know what I'm saying, like a coral reef, I guess. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Be like a moldy raisin that's slowly spraying throughout the
but
bread.
no, you don't have to take over the whole bread. You could just be like,
mold sometimes just goes in branches.
You could be kind of like a hydra. Yeah. Like you have many paths. Yeah. But they're all part of you, and they are all you, and you're like a weird 5-dimensional being that's like whipping about constantly. Mm-hmm. And in like the 6th dimension, maybe you're still. But even then, who knows? Like it could go forever.
So then, from your own observation, this is a ridiculous thought.
Yeah.
Right. But from your own observation, do you ever die?
Well, that's it. You based on our understanding of consciousness, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like that's why you're a raisin. You're the raisin exists. It's just it stops. Like you. How about this? Imagine like what you have right now is like someone running a projector movie, but they're also running like a frame before. Like your life is a round, so it starts from the first instant, and like a spark runs through the raisin, illuminating a slice of it at a time. But another spark is flying through it right behind it. So there's like you in the past, like the shortest possible time ago, also experiencing, and you're just in a constant loop, illuminating your raisin or your coral in the bread loaf, and because you don't see the end. It's just this endless loop. But that's probably not the answer, because we probably can't find the answer. We probably don't know it.
Yeah.
So, but that's just one possibility, and it's
so.
So I had this, like.
So your thought for the future is madness.
I think the greatest game ever made, right? The best game ever made.
So this is a change of...
No.
No?
Like imagine, okay, in Breath of the Wild, right? You do all this stuff on the Great Plateau.
Yeah.
And then you get the hang glider, and all of a sudden the map zooms out. And the world is way bigger than you thought.
Yeah.
Right, so the greatest game would have the tallest mountain in the lands be there. And you can see it, but you don't climb it. You climb the foothills around it, and it's difficult. And you keep going, and there's so much to like in creative amount of stuff to explore. And finally, one day you get to the top of the mountain. You stand atop it, and you look about, and in the distance, you see that every mountain in the distance is greater than this mountain.
And so you go down the mountain, and then you climb another mountain.
And you climb those mountains, and they are even larger than that one. And so it's a foothill compared to the others, and it would show and they're impossible to climb, and you eventually find your way up them, and they're impossible, and it's just these. So like the greatest game would be like you start by like dealing with the most ridiculous stuff, like how do I get enough air, how do I get enough, and that expands and expands until you're worrying like how do I make myself exist, and then how do I make my community exist, and then you go on like how do I align the particles in the universe? I don't know what it is. And you just keep going and going and going and going out and out and out, and like you eventually the older problems disappear because you've just got the skills and stuff, and they vanish. Like people, they have troubles talking with people, and they get used to it, and they're fine, and their social problems no longer exist in that realm. But there's infinite realms to explore, and so you learn all those infinite realms, and then it turns out that social is not the only way to communicate with people. There's like, and then it's like communicating with people is not all there is to do, and then communication is not all there is, and then out and out and out, and you.
So Spore.
Kind of like Spore, yeah, but more so. But yeah, Spore is like the closest in a way. It's Spore is the shadow of an idea. It's like it doesn't even come close, but it's like
Spore is the penumbra of a shadow of an idea.
Spore is the finger pointing at
a faint sketch
at the infinite stare. Spore is the finger pointing at the infinite stare, and we see what is possible, and we can imagine it. It's like a metaphor, but it's not. And I think like our lives could be considered that ultimate game, because
game is life.
We have to overcome all these things.
Yeah, the game is life.
And if we are characters in that game, then like that means that the players that are playing that game are above us. Like we are the play. We're just like an NPC in like Skyrim or something, right? But we're not NPC. We're the player character, and we're all in like a multiplayer world. But you can play in a different world at this. You could have like 2 computers going, and one could be like your different paths, so you can play all your paths at the same time. But you're just an idea. But you're that person's idea. You're their own idea, right? Like your ideas are a part of you. Yeah. So if you create an idea, you project it out of yourself, and it's there in the world, hovering, like it's there.
Yeah.
And then that idea is still you. So even if that idea, like you turn off the computer, that idea comes back into you. And so even though we are just like video game characters of these like of ourselves, we are still our greater selves, even when we are gone, because we were just a projection. We're coming back into ourselves. And so if we're like video game characters in a game, then to our player, us, we're just an idea, right? Like yeah.
So we'll go back to the time travel.
Yeah. Okay, what about it? Wait, what time travel?
I want to go back to the time travel. You're saying like what's in the future, like ideas, and also we talked about the past. But I also made a joke, which you missed.
I guess so.
Which is I want to go back to the time travel.
Right.
Right. Anyways.
So why do you want to go? We didn't do time travel yet, I don't think. But...
Well, yeah. Anyways, multi-layer joke. You'll get it someday.
Okay.
So if you like.
I see. Like going back in time.
Yeah.
You can go a lot of directions in time travel. You'd think.
Yeah. But anyway, so going back in time.
It's more like time jumping because you can travel through time quite easily.
All right. Going back in time.
Yeah.
So go back to, let's say, like medieval ages or like Rome. Like I'll give you the option.
Okay.
And like period somewhere among those.
Okay.
What would you do to like be a wizard? Because you have knowledge from Earth. Like you don't have like you right now. You're not like super specialized in anything.
Yeah.
But you know some advancements and some slight things. Have ideas of how things work. So if like you were a crazy alchemist, you could experiment slightly.
Right.
So like, what would you do? Like, what would be your big debut invention to make a king fund you? Or
ancient Rome and make a bicycle.
Yeah. Because I was thinking like, imagine the Roman legion, but they all have bicycles.
I don't even know how bicycles work, but I could figure it out. I think it's not that hard. Like you got a little spoke, you got chain, you've got.
You wouldn't even need to start with a chain. You could do a rope. Just proof it with a rope at first.
Yeah, and then you've got 2 wheels that are like frictionless. That's fine. They've got they're suspended on like a spoke.
Yeah.
Or not a spoke, an axle. And so it's like a wagon, but you have little pedals to make the wheels on the wagon move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your debut invention would be a bicycle?
I think so. Or that seems pretty simple, straightforward.
I think gunpowder might be.
Maybe like a dandy horse first, and then work my way up to bicycle.
Yeah.
Although dandy horses are kind of useless, but.
I mean, gunpowder. I have an idea, but I actually have no idea.
Yeah, gunpowder.
Also, do you want to introduce gunpowder early?
Yeah, well, that's sort of my thought, but
because
although by the time of the Romans it's around.
Yeah, but if I can figure out gunpowder, then I can also I know how to make bullets, and I know how to make guns, and I know how to make chambers. I actually know how to make those things.
But it's the fine-tune. But do you? Because machining is so precise these days. It's a lot easier to make stuff.
Yeah, but I'm saying I can make very crude ones.
Yes, that would be very dangerous. Those are called pipe bombs.
I mean, better than just crude, but.
I don't know if you could, because you have to get stuff pretty precise.
Yeah, well,
it sounds very dangerous. And do you want guns? Why do you want guns all of a sudden?
Well, I'm saying that's one of the things I know how to do, but I'm saying I won't want to.
And gunpowder is, you want wood ash and bat guano and saltpeter. Yeah. And then you have gunpowder. Mm-hmm. I think that's the 3 ingredients. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I reckon the steam engine, maybe.
Steam engine. That sounds beyond me by far. I don't. But yeah, bicycle. I could do a bicycle.
Just show people that. Not even completely develop myself, but just show people, hey, you can make these things spin to do stuff for you.
Maybe an airplane. Or glider. Glider's not bad. I mean, what material do you use though? You can use anything. You can use wood.
Go find Leonardo da Vinci.
The curves are tricky. Well, that's the thing. Leonardo da Vinci had all these ideas, but he didn't get anyone to build them.
Yeah.
So, is there any point in going back in time? No one has the money. No one's going to listen to you.
Well, that's why I'm saying you have to have a debut thing you can do yourself.
Right. I cannot make a bicycle myself. I need someone that has like access to metal and a forge, and
Well, I don't know, you can bring an object with you.
I bring a forge with me. Can I bring a bicycle with me then?
And what, have like the bicycle of antiquity that all other bicycles shall be based off of?
Yeah, it's just like a platinum bicycle kept in like a bell jar. People can look at it. I would go back in time and invent the meter.
The meter.
The meter.
Like the measurement distance.
Yes.
How?
I would say.
Take a meter stick back with me.
No, I would say, what's the wavelength of orange light passing through a ruby rod or whatever? No, I would say,
Get me a ton of water.
yeah, and I'd say get me a ton of water and put it in a box. That's a meter.
Do they have tons back then?
No, the ton is based on the meter.
Yeah.
I would say I would say get me 4 tons of water. No, wait, no. Sorry, 2 tons. That's confusing. I'd be like, look, 3 and a bit feet. If you line all those up, you get the world. It's some amount around. I don't remember. And like, there's like, look, it's useful. Just trust me. We need to standardize this stuff. That Chinese emperor was probably a time traveler who like standardized the wheelbarrow wheel width. Like he comes from a future where like the roads are just horrible ruts everywhere, and he was like, I need to save them. And he went back in time and like, yeah.
Well, I think a bicycle is manageable, or not even bicycle, but like the whole thing where you like pump something up and down, like you put or like a rail.
Yeah, but you can't sell the idea of a rail. That's insane. Nobody has that kind of money to build a rail.
Why not?
Yeah, you know how much metal it takes to build a rail.
Well, then start with a steam engine.
And then what?
Have it do mining for you.
There was a guy that built a steam engine in the 1600s and gave it to the Chinese emperor as a toy. Like they were around. It's just
yeah, and they had them in ancient Rome as well. But actually, like they had Alexandria, ancient Greece. They had theaters that were automated. They had automaton theaters.
Yeah, well, they weren't steam engines. I don't think
they were.
Like they had like
no, those things were entirely steam engines.
They had carefully counterweighted doors, so you could like use candles to like change.
Yeah, no, they also had steam engines run some automatons.
I'm not sure about that, but
I'm pretty sure they did.
Or like a hot air balloon. I could build a hot air balloon. I think maybe. I don't know. Actually, maybe not. Where did I get all the cloth? I can't do anything on my own. Like, what do I? Because the problem is everyone's starving and just trying to like I don't know eat berries off the street or something. Like there's no one to fund your projects. No one has like. I bet you like we now live far better than any Roman emperor ever did.
Right, well, be some medicine man then and get accused of being a witch.
I don't know anything about medicine.
Tell people not to, like, drink where they poop.
I'm pretty sure they figured that out. Like, that was the whole Black Death. That's why they stopped public bathing. Because it was killing them. Like, they figured that out.
Yes, tell them ahead of time. Be a crazy prophet. All crazy prophets are time travelers.
I could see Leonardo da Vinci being like me, going back in time, because I'd be like, okay, there's helicopters. They spin like with a screw. Yeah, that makes sense. They use a giant screw to lift themselves, and there's like you have to make them out of wood because we don't have metal. And like a tank. Yeah, there was tanks. You like I don't know. They have treads or something, and yeah, we'll make them out of wood. And like a plane. Yeah, what if you like stuck like but the wings have to be the right shape. How do you account for that? Okay, what if you just have flat boards but then you stick like I don't know screws on top of them, more screws, and you can spin them all with like a little thing in your hands. And yeah, that's just like he's just a time traveler that didn't remember how to make everything properly, and he couldn't get anyone to fund him.
I'm saying you have to have like a debut invention, like something simple to get someone to fund you.
Like a fork. No, I can't make a fork. I can't forge. What can I make?
Become a blacksmith's apprentice then, and then you can go from there.
I don't want to be a blacksmith.
But then you can start. But once he teaches you to forge, you can make a fork.
But who cares?
You can make a tuning fork.
No one could afford a fork. I don't know how to make a tuning fork.
It's really simple. You get a piece of metal with 2 prongs.
Yeah, but maybe there's more to it than that.
No, there isn't. Tuning forks are the most simple things ever.
Well, except you have to get it very precise. They have to be the same size. And how do you do that? You're not like a wizard. You're trying to pretend to be a wizard.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's complicated. I think, like, you need to think smaller, like an Archimedes screw. I could invent an Archimedes screw.
There you go.
I could take a tree branch and I could like a big thick tree trunk, and I could get like I could use my fingernails to gouge like a runnel or a rock maybe, and gouge like a screw shape into it, and then I would put it by the water, and I would have to stick it inside another tree trunk. I can't do it. I would invent. Where am I? Rubber? I could invent rubber thousands of years before, but I don't know what plant it is.
Well, maybe you should start looking this stuff up and learning how to do these things.
There's actually this thing called the Time Traveler's List. You're allowed to bring one with you. I bring that. It tells you how to do all this
Really?
basic stuff. Yeah.
There's actually a thing called Time Traveler's List.
Yeah. Okay, I'd go to ancient Greece and I would say, okay, go to the city of like get the flakes around the Oracle of Delphi's temple, stick those in water, and if you feed them to sheep, it'll heal their wounds faster. And that would be how I'd be a wizard.
What, you would use...
I'd do Epsom salts. I would show them...
also feed Epsom salts to people.
Yeah, but I would... The people don't care about people, they care about sheep.
So you would invent Epsom salts earlier.
Or I'd be like, get some bread, make it moldy. I'm not sure if that's enough, but there, you're fine.
No, there's way more to it than that.
Or I would invent...
Ooh, you could invent vaccinations earlier.
Or, like, what's like a really... No, I couldn't.
Yeah, like the smallpox vaccination.
And how am I going to find some smallpox to, like, chop up?
No, cowpox. You give people cowpox first.
But what's, like... How do you even... What's, like, a really basic thing that... Like, the rubber thing. Like, you just had to figure out which two plants to mix. Like, gunpowder, that's another one. But I don't know where to find, like, bird poop. I don't know.
Bat guano.
Or bird poop, you know. It's all the same. You just want... You want the potassium, I think. In it. Or I could like go to ancient China and be like, that cinnabar is just sulfur and mercury mixed together. You're killing yourself. And then that doesn't make me a wizard though, and no one would believe me. There's no way to prove it. I would. I know. What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's a really simple thing? Like a cup with a string? Like that doesn't work. What about like a battery? You take a battery, because they knew how to make batteries for millions of years. Yeah. That's a slight exaggeration. And you take a battery and you take a wire. But you need someone to make a wire. You can't make a wire.
Well,
there's no wires.
Get a lodestone, which that would be easy.
Yeah, super easy to find one, yeah.
Get a magnet.
I'd make a nuclear reactor. That's one of the simplest things you can do. You chuck a rock in a pot of water.
There, that's something to bring back with you. A piece of activated uranium.
But there was more of it around back then. There was already people making nuclear reactors like thousands of years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
it wasn't activated though.
See, that's like a not very complex piece of technology. Like it's very... No, it was active.
Really?
Yeah, you just get some hot rock. You have
No, active uranium is you have to put it through a process to actually get to the point where it can be usable.
No, you don't. You can get like natural hot rocks. They're just not as hot. And yeah, you just bam.
Yeah, well, combustion engine. No, not combustion. Sorry, I don't. Or steam engine.
I would show them how to extract the DNA from a banana. I don't know.
Steam engine.
I know how to do that.
Steam engine.
Actually, I don't remember anymore. No, I can't make a steam engine. That's ridiculous.
Why not? You can make a prototype one.
No, I can't. How would you make a steam engine?
Well, you get a pot.
Okay.
And you get a metal bit under it.
What's this metal bit?
It's a pot lid.
Okay, so you take a pot, stick a pot lid under it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you get a blacksmith.
No.
All right. So
you said you have to make it.
You have to make it.
Yeah, you don't have like money. You have to earn your keep first before you like. How are you getting your money in the first place?
All right. Yes. Yeah. So you get a pot. Right.
Yeah.
A pot lid.
You steal a pot. Okay.
Yeah. And then you put water in it.
Yeah.
And you get a fire going.
Yeah.
And so it produces steam, right?
Yeah.
And like you maybe get like a funnel of some sort. Like, oh no, even like lift up the pot sideways, okay?
Okay. Lift
up the pot sideways and like sort of try to seal it with maybe like some mud.
Okay.
Clay, and then you get like a
why is there a pot lid under it? What are you sealing? I don't...
Right, this and you fill it with water.
Yeah.
And so you have a crack coming out of it, right? Or even you close it. Yeah, you close it and then you punch a hole in it.
How?
I don't know. A lot of work.
Okay, you have a hole in a closed pot.
Yeah. And so you stand on this pot and you have it over a fire. Or you put weights on it, right?
Right. So you're making a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it shoots steam out through a hole.
Yeah.
And then you get like some piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
Like try to get you steal some boards.
Yeah.
And you like chew a hole through the boards because you don't have any tools. And so you can stick the two boards and they intercept, right?
Okay.
And then like maybe even like really light wafers of wood, right? And you like attach it to a string, and then you put it over the thing, and then you get this pressure cooker steam to make it spin.
Okay.
Right. And then you even then you make like I don't know, you could do some you could steal some woodcrafting tools. Okay?
Okay.
You stole a pot, you stole some woodcrafting tools, right? So you make a stick, like a pretty light stick, and you like get some pieces of wood, okay?
Yeah.
And then you hold it in your hand, and like attach a string to the other side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Attach a string to it. And like you have a very light weight, but still a weight on the string, and it's like a hole through it. So if the thing spins, it will like go up the weight.
So you're making a bad mill.
A bad mill that you control without you make your own wind.
Yeah, but a slave could just crank a handle.
No, but then you say, I can make this bigger and better.
And yeah, but you could just get more slaves.
But
The Romans wouldn't care. They got slaves.
no, but it could be worth like 10 slaves.
Except they need to constantly fire it with wood, which will take slaves to like.
No, but slaves can make it. And then it would be like making your own slaves.
But the slaves just have to put wood in all the time, so they have to keep. So you still need the slaves.
But we could make charcoal.
But they know how to make charcoal.
Yeah, but charcoal burns better.
Yeah, but they know how to make charcoal.
Yeah, so then have charcoal go.
Yeah, but still, they're constantly making charcoal. You still need the slaves.
But then you got a better mill.
Okay, how about this?
It's a mill without wind, and it produces more power than them because wood contains more power, or charcoal contains more power than a slave.
How about you teach them like D&D or something?
This is Romans?
Yeah.
I was more thinking like medieval times you do this.
Or the
With
Romans.
Yeah.
You just teach them D&D.
No, but I'm saying like this theme.
I'm pretty sure there was like medieval people making like pots that whistled. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you show them you can spin something with it, and if you build it really big,
I don't know, maybe.
or even you start with a bicycle, you make a wooden bicycle for a king, and then he's like, oh, I want this guy to invent more stuff for him, so he gives you a budget. Like Queen of England, right? Like, so you start with a duke, right? And you show him your bicycle.
But you can't make a bicycle.
Yeah, you can. You make one out of wood.
You can't.
Yeah, you can.
I guess maybe. I don't know.
You become you're Cameron, you're going back in time. You're super fit, super healthy.
No, I'm not.
Most of your average Joe goes back in time. Like compared to other people, they're really big, really healthy. Got a lot of thinking they can do.
So what, you just beat up people for their food?
No.
Okay, here's the thing, right? I go back in time, I get a bunch of scrawny little medieval peasants together, and I beat them up and take all their food. And then I use that gathered food to buy me, and I force them to make me a bicycle. And I bring my fleet of bicycles over to
To the local lord.
To the local lord. And I show him that they're like horses, but they don't take any feed. And he's like, this is amazing. And then I've done it. I've made a bicycle.
All right.
Okay, good plan. Bicycle it is.
Then with the bicycle, then you've proven. Then you can make better bicycles, right? Right. So you got your bicycle through means, and you make better bicycles.
What about like basic mathematics, like algebra and like basic physics? Like that'd be pretty useful.
Well, no. So you got the bicycle, right? And then this lord's like, hey, like he goes to a gathering of lords, right? And he brings you along because like you're invented a bicycle. And he's like, this guy invented me bicycles. Like, these things are awesome. And, like, there's some other, like, thinky people there, right? And so you get to talking with them. And you prove you're knowledgeable in mathematics. And, like, you show them mathematical stuff that, like, blows their mind. Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, wow, this person's really smart. And so you got all the thinky people on your side. And the thinky people got the ears of their lords, right?
Yeah.
And so then they're like, maybe we should listen to this guy. And you, like, do some simple stuff like, all right, bicycles, yeah. Do mathematical equations, yeah. Maybe like show them concrete like the Romans had, but like give them some concrete ideas. And they're like, okay, guys, I've got like this idea. And like you get them to make you a steam engine, like a special project to make a steam engine.
I still think a steam engine's a very complicated thing.
It isn't.
I think
It's a big round thing with a hole in it.
But they're not.
They just have to be the right shape.
Like, even if you do that, who cares? You can just use a river or a slave or a donkey.
No, you hear me out, right? You make a train.
And then what? Who cares?
And then you make tracks.
Yeah, you can't. No, nobody's gonna make the tracks. Nobody has that kind of resources.
Well, then you make like a mine, a better mine.
How?
That pulls up the metal faster.
How?
With a steam engine.
How's your steam engine pulling out metal faster?
Because it like pulls out the buckets.
How's it pull out the buckets?
Make a dredge.
A dredge? Like the giant floating, like...
Yeah.
What's powering it?
Slaves. Obviously.
They weren't that common in medieval era, as far as I'm aware.
Peasants, then. You're a genius. They're going to fund your project.
I don't know. I think a bicycle's a pretty solid one.
Yeah, but I say like where you go after the bicycle.
Actually, bicycle you do need spokes, I think. Oh wait, no, because it has to be like a one-way thing. Because if you just tie the wheels to the spinny thing, then it'll lurch the moment you stop pedaling. Like you have to actually have it a one-way, like.
Yeah, I know how to do that. It's just you need an artisan to do it for you.
Well, or you could just have like a really basic tooth that is tilted so it slides back when it.
Yeah.
How would that work though?
You'd basically be Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, you could just. But
you're right though. You would be Leonardo da Vinci. Like, I mean, the average Joe, maybe an engineering student.
There was a mathematician in 1900s, I think, who had these brilliant theories that like just out of nowhere, and like they were like half of them were right and the other half were nonsense. But they were like amazing, and people. But he didn't have any like proof. He just like did the theory and he had no proof for it. And then other mathematicians would like figure out a proof for it and be like, "Oh, this is nonsense," or "This is amazing."
Maybe
and so
none of them are nonsense. Maybe we just haven't figured them out yet.
So there's this thought that he was like that intelligence was actually like, or that insight was like a gift. Like you could have insight into logic or mathematics, and you could just come up with stuff. And I wonder if he was just like a time traveler from the future who knew all this math and was trying to remember it.
Yeah.
Because like if I taught like people derivations, I don't remember, or derivatives. Sorry, I don't remember the derivation of derivatives. Like because I don't remember it very well, anyways. Maybe I could figure it out, but I don't think I would. So I just be like, this is a really useful thing. I don't know how it works. I can't remember, but trust me, it's really useful.
Just do Shakespeare's plays before you can get around to it.
I don't know if you could, like, because he writes pretty like cleverly.
I know.
That's kind of his big thing.
But I'm just saying, like, do literature. You're educated. You can read and write. Not what they're writing, though, I guess.
Yeah. You could teach them, like, writing, potentially.
Yeah.
Like, or, I don't know, scientific notation of some sort. But the thing is, most people wouldn't use it, so nobody would care.
Yeah.
Because the world wasn't connected. You didn't have the internet. Nobody cares what you do. Like, you build a steam engine, and they forget about it, like, 10 years later, because who cares?
No, but...
You couldn't tell anyone about it. You're just, like...
This town has the steam engine that's running industry for it.
Yeah, and then it breaks and nobody knows how it works and they forget about it.
No, but you leave instructions on how to repair it because it's really useful.
Yeah, and they lose the instructions or nobody can read them. Like, it goes away.
No,
that's why, like,
no, you teach other people as well. You teach people how to do it.
There's this idea that, like, ideas happen at the same time. I think what actually happens is people are...
Make a printing press!
I think people are coming up with this... How?
Boom. There.
How?
Or the basic things like metal sheets so you can make wood faster. Like printing ink and stuff because you got ink, right?
Yeah.
You got your ink, right? And then you just tell someone, right? Alright, if we carve into metal, right?
Yeah.
And we carve like set letters into metal.
Yeah.
And then we dip them in ink and we slap them against a piece of lamellar, which is really expensive, or ever, lamel. We can get words faster. We can assemble whole sentences and then we can do that multiple times with one page.
But there's no need to mass produce writing. Maybe some monks would like it.
Yeah.
But how do you, like, get these prints and like...
do the basics of medicine. Like, teach basics of medicine, then explain, like, burn at the stake.
Because it's not enough to press it. Like, the original presses were, like, screw presses. You'd have to place it down, and then you'd have to, like, screw it tight, and then you'd have to unscrew it, and then you'd have to get a new
Still way faster.
And it was really slow.
Still way faster.
And then they had this problem where they couldn't make paper fast enough, because making paper's always been very difficult. And then they had this problem where, like, if you, like, until very recently, they were still having a lot of troubles with printing. Like, until, like, the 80s or something, or even, like, acidic ink was a huge issue until, like, what, the 90s or the 2000s? Like, we still haven't figured out printing, really.
Steam engine.
I guess but a printing press, I don't know. I just
Make
some of
a
those.
loom.
That sounds much more complicated. I think printing press sounds easier than a loom.
Make a loom that's people powered.
No, but how do you make a loom?
I have no idea.
Because it's basically you interweave the cloth instantly, which I could actually, that might not be. I don't know.
I'm going to have to get this time traveler's list or learn it.
Although I think actually printing press might not be a bad idea, but it would definitely take a lot of figuring out because it's tricky.
Yeah.
I just also like a steam engine. You don't want to play around with that because if you mess up, it explodes.
That's why you have slaves. Peasants do it for you.
No, you just want to do a bicycle. Nice and simple.
Yeah. And then from there you can do steam engine.
Although I'm not sure how to do a bicycle, actually, come to think of it.
Well, obviously you need to learn how to make a bicycle.
Well, I mean, I don't. And the problem is, right now, right? I could be I'm gonna go try to make a bicycle. I'm gonna get some wagon wheels, and I'm gonna get some wood, and I'm gonna try to make. But the thing is, I don't have that kind of money right now. But if I went to medieval age, I'd have even less.
You're a giant guy.
I'm not gonna bully people into giving me bicycle wheels.
You could be a mercenary.
I
You could be a knight.
don't want to be a knight. That sounds dangerous.
You could be like a fool. Tell jokes.
Oh, there you go. You just used all the jokes you know.
Yeah. Just be like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, they'd be these are so original. You could just use all the oldest cliche jokes.
Yeah.
And you'd have all the lottery numbers.
For when those are relevant.
Yeah. If I went back in time, starting a lottery would be the way to go, actually.
Just start gambling, make a casino.
Oh, I could make a casino. Oh, I could totally make a casino.
Well, you'd have to get the money in the first place.
No, you don't. You start with a lottery and you just say, all right, everyone, give me your money, and then I will give 10% back to the winner. You don't need any money to start a casino. I mean, to start a lottery.
Even 50% back to the winner.
Or 90%.
Yeah.
Any amount, you're still winning.
Yeah. And then you just have to be careful of tax collectors.
You're all right, just a penny. A day's wages, you could win a lifetime of gold. Just give it to me, and then I'll put you in. And they'd be like, okay. And then you go around, and then you'd be like, oh, you won. And be like, wow, that's amazing. Other people would hear about it, and you'd be the wandering, lottery man. No, it's not a scam. You'd be giving people, for almost nothing. They can win everything, Connor. They're living
And
the
then-
dream. The problem is you get robbed and, killed. Traveling from
you're
time
a
to time.
giant.
No, but who cares? If there's 3 people, they're going to hold you down and beat
Cameron,
you.
these 3 people are malnutrition little wimps. You're a giant who can break them with the brush of a hand.
No, they would instantly they'd kill you easily. Even one person who's
Well, that's why Cameron, you have money. You start hiring yourself some guards.
Yeah, but you're it's still dangerous. You're wandering around.
Yeah. Well,
You want a casino with guards. Yeah. But the problem is that it's also against the Bible, money lending and stuff. You'd have to be a Jew.
set up make a no.
It'd be tricky to make a religion.
Also, it'd be really dangerous. Yeah. Very, very dangerous.
I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure.
Depends how far back you go.
Yeah. Or what you do for your religion. As long as it doesn't go against any of the teachings of the state. And depending when,
Yeah. I'm just going to have to research a bunch of that time traveler's list.
I think basic medicinal practices actually wash your
That's
hands.
what I've been saying. Basic medicine.
Yeah.
You brushed me off.
No, I said I don't know anything about medicine, but because I couldn't but I could teach people stitches and
CPR.
CPR and yeah, actually.
And then you get burned at the stake for being a warlock.
Stitches, CPR, hygiene.
Don't cut people and have them bleed out the humors. Just have them drink water and...
Yeah, drink your water, bed rest.
Come in around the time of the Black Death.
No.
No, actually.
No.
You're immune to it.
No, I'm not.
Don't you have shots for it?
No.
I thought they
No,
used
people
to.
still die from it these days.
Yeah, but the survival rate is much higher now.
Yeah, but
And if you survive once, you're good.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not sure. But we we still have it today.
Yeah, but
that was a nasty disease.
But how you deal with the Black Death is just stay hydrated.
That helps. It's not the cure.
It's 50% survival rate compared to 90.
But oh goody. No, what you do is you go back in time and you just stay clean. You want okay, someone comes to you and they're like, All right, I want you to stay clean. I'm going to stitch that wound shut. This is going to hurt a lot, but it'll help it close. I'm not going to bleed you. You have to clean the wounds. All right, you have to keep them bandaged. You have to... All right, here's how
I think they knew that.
Here's CPR. Here's... No, they would do stuff like you might have to let the pus like increase to like
encrust the wound. And...
Yeah, like they had crazy stuff. Or like drain the wound. Like you're just like, don't touch it. Just clean it, wrap it, don't touch it. Or change the bandages every once in a while and keep cleaning it.
Oh, this person honestly has a demon in their mind, so we're cut across into the top of their head. Oh, they died from bleeding to death.
Here's some stitches. Medicine would be pretty good. And you could, but...
And then from there, they'd see you as a wise person. They could build a steam engine.
I wouldn't really want to associate with that, but it'd be like a good start. I wouldn't want people to think of me as a doctor though, because then I'd like
get burned at a stake.
I'll have to deal with sick people all the time.
Yeah, and they have like really nasty diseases. Yeah, with evil diseases. Ugh.
But I think.
What about like concrete?
How do you make concrete?
Lime and water.
What's lime?
It's a rock.
What's it look like?
It's sort of greenish gray, and it's kind of powdery.
Where do you find it?
You find it in cliffs and around caves.
Right, so you go to the cave. There will be a green rock there that's powdery. Take it, grind it up, pour water in, and then pour in blood. Mix it, and you'll have stone you can pour.
Yeah. And then you could make paved streets.
The secret's in the blood.
Actually, kind of is.
Yeah.
Pig's blood, though.
Well, anyone's blood.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They're not picky.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, the medieval people lost concrete, so just bring back concrete.
Yeah, but the Romans knew it, and, like, it's been around for ages.
Yeah, but it's really useful.
Yeah, but...
With concrete, you could build this...
I don't even know if the medieval people lost it. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have the resources. The church was pretty good at preserving stuff. Like, windmills were invented during the medieval age, I think. Like...
Yeah. I don't know.
Fine, steam engine. You can have a little thing that blows steam. They've had those for ages. They just never found a use for them. It's like
show them a use for it then.
It's like going to the Aztecs and being like, "Here's a wheel," and they're like, "Yeah, we invented those ages ago. They're just useless."
Attach it to a cart.
Yeah, and then what?
Cut down all the
carry
trees
the cart
in
through the forest.
Cut down all the trees in the jungle.
Oh, super useful. Thank you for your cart.
Cut down all the trees.
Now it's even heavier to carry all my stuff.
Wheelbarrow?
Oh yeah, just get that through this underbrush. Yeah. Well, that was a weird episode. I say we wrap it up.
Steam engine.
Yeah. I wonder if I could make a bicycle. I don't have the force. Yeah, I think like the way to make your money would be like you'd start like a doctor, and then you'd be like, all right, now since you trust me, I need you to bring me a wagon. A broken down wagon. I'll take it, and then I'm gonna make the next revolutionary thing. You'll be able to transmit messages far and wide to people in need. You'll just and then like make a bicycle, bam, and then you get like, okay, now if we made this of metal, we could, and then other people be like, I could refine that, and then everyone would be wanting one of these bicycles. All the lords would be like, I want a bicycle, and all
you need better roads.
The military bicycles.
Karen, a wooden wheel would be the most uncomfortable thing ever.
Yeah, and like the seat would be pretty awful too. But. Yeah. Posh.
So figure out how to make a rubber.
You wouldn't actually you would want to do a you don't want like a chair with like a hand crank bicycle, honestly, for like so you wouldn't want like a penny farthing where you're like do a header. Yeah. When you kill yourself not on purpose.
Yeah.
You just do your head in because you fall off. Yeah. No, I think medicine's the way to go, really. Or like nature craft. Although I'm sure they knew it. Woodcraft rather. I'm sure they knew that better than we do now, maybe. Probably not. I doubt it. But, you know, there's still new stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd be like there must be, like, steam engine, very simple. Windmill, very simple. Like, gears, very simple. But nobody would care. You teach them and they'd be like, I don't see the point. Like, so you need something that, like, sticks with them. Like,
show them that you can move a boulder.
Yeah. Use basic levers and, like, focal points. And, yeah, you could, like, build Stonehenge.
They did that ages ago.
But you could do it on your own, and you could be like, alright, I'm going to need some very large rocks, a lot of sand.
Move a barn by yourself.
Yeah, you could, like, move anything. You could just be like, well, can you move anything? Probably not. But, you know, you could...
Actually, the transportation, though, of stuff would be a good one.
But, like, levers. I mean, people knew levers. Come on. That's the thing. People already know everything. It's just they didn't have connection. The most important thing was the connection. Like, you need to give them, like, telegraph.
So then they can move a lever. I mean, move stuff with a steam engine.
You need, like, a telegraph. No, nobody has the money for a steam engine.
Yes, someone has to. Some Chinese emperor.
No, I don't think so. Communication, that's the huge one. But nobody can afford to communicate because they're all dying because they're all, like, just peasants in a field. You need to teach better farming practices. How do you do that?
All right, so we need to learn ancient culture.
All right. Well, I don't plan to be time traveled.
Yeah, but I mean, just in case, you gotta have the backup plan.
I don't know. I have abstract reason. I have the power of abstract reasoning, which a lot of like ancient peoples didn't so much. So I think like you could just go there with nothing and figure stuff out. Anyways, you could just experiment wherever you were interested. And I think you'd be all right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there. Bye.
Bye.